relics, elders, dwellings and give offerings to the Timeless Temple. Do you want to learn to play Rise to Nobility Beyond, the expansion to Rise to Nobility?
In this video, we're going to take you through the full rules for this expansion, as well as some rule updates for the base game. If you don't know how to play the base game, we recommend you watch our tutorial video for that, and we've put a link in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned for Rise to Nobility Beyond coming up. Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University.
Now let's get to the rules of Rise to Nobility Beyond, game by Ivana and Wojciech Krustewski, Maja Matowska and Tony Toshevsky, art by the Miko, and published by Final Frontier Games. Now, before we start, I'm going to tell you quickly about an update to the base rules of Rise to Nobility, which is not featured in our original video. Originally, the base game went for 10 rounds, and the rules provided an alternative version of the game that plays shorter over 7 rounds. Under the second printing of the rulebook, the 7-round version of the game is now the basic way to play, and you can play the 10-round version as an extended variant. As such, all of the setup rules that you're going to see here and the base game rules are on the new 7-round standard. Additionally, we'll remind you that we're teaching from the deluxe version of the game, and so some of the components are upgraded compared with the standard retail copy. The Rise to Nobility Beyond expansion offers 3 new pathways towards your victory in gaining your influence over the 5 realms. The game introduces a new resource, Rock Rose, which can be spent in a variety of different ways. You can now spend your workers, your houses, or your Rock Rose on a series of new cards from the Guardian's Glade. Relics and Elders will get you actions during the game, and Dwellings will be worth an end-of-game victory point bonus. And players may send their workers to the temple, where they'll place offerings, take a variety of the game's old actions with a new cost, and fight for majorities to gain end-of-game victory points. So now let's look at changes to setup. After setting up as you would for the base game, place the extension board next to the main board. Each player takes 8 offering tokens in player colour, and there'll be an additional 3 meeples and 2 houses in each player colour. These go in the main supply as usual. You have to earn those in the normal way. After each player has taken a level 1 settler, you'll mix the 1 and 2 settlers with the new level 3 settlers before you place them at the Cavern Tavern. Shuffle up all of the Glade cards, and then deal 6 into the Guardian's Glade. Then deal each player a hand of 5 Glade cards. You'll now do a circular draft of these cards. All players look through their cards, choose the one they want to keep, and then hand the rest to a neighbour. They'll receive 4 cards from a neighbour, they'll choose another one they wish to keep, and so on until each player has drafted 3 cards. These are then turned face up and placed into their matching slots on the player board extension. You're now ready to play. There are a number of new features in the game, the first of which is the new resource, Rock Rose. There are a number of different ways of gaining Rock Rose, which I'll go through as we come across them, but the most basic is as a mitigation for rolling high dice. Suppose this is the player's roll, and with a reputation of 11, the player can only place these dice. This means the player will have 10 pips worth left over at the end of the round. During the income phase of each round, a player will gain 1 Rock Rose for each 3 pips left over on the dice not placed. This is rounded down, so for 10 left over here, the player would gain 3 Rock Rose. I'll go through the other ways of gaining this later in the video. Rock Rose has many uses, but one of them is as a conversion to essentially any other resource in the game. At any point during a player's turn, that player may, as a free action, make a Rock Rose exchange based on what's printed in this table. This can allow you to gain a goods token, a nobility, a reputation, a coin, a modifier token, or, if playing with the Chancery expansion, a city token. Finally, players are limited to holding no more than 10 Rock Rose at any time. Next we'll look at the Guardian's Glade action space. This has 3 action spaces available, one for 1 and 2, one for a 3 and 4, and one from a 5 and 6, as per the action spaces on the main board. All 3 of these are open at any player count. When taking this action, the player will pay the number of coins shown on the matching space, so in this case it's 2, and then gain 2 cards from the 6 available in the Glade. These cards are placed into the matching coloured slots on the player board extension and then replaced from the top of the Glade deck. Each of these types of cards is resolved in a different way. Green Dwellings cards give you an end of game victory point bonus, and they're activated using houses. As a free action at any time on your turn, you may take a house from your construction platform and assign it to one of your dwelling cards. This activates the end of game scoring on that specific card. These should be worth somewhere in the range of 3 to 6 victory points. It also triggers an income of 2 rock rows per round, which you will gain during the income phase of each subsequent round. The blue cards are Elders. These will give you some sort of ongoing bonus that will trigger when you take another action in the game. These require a worker to activate, and so as a free action at any time, you may take a worker from your platform and place it onto an Elder card, activating that effect. Each activated Elder card will have an income of 2 money that you will gain during the income phase of each round, and this makes up for the income you're passing up by not putting him onto the main board. The red column represents the relics, and these are extra actions that you can take on your turn. As your worker placement for a turn, you may place any die onto this space, the relic activation space. This will then allow you to activate any or all of your relic cards once each, as long as you can pay the card's cost, which will be 1 or 2 rock rows. Some of these will give you some bonuses or some flexibility, and there are others that allow you to spend goods to gain victory points during the game. As such, gaining a strong column of relics can allow you to do a lot of actions quite efficiently with a single worker, but it will require a good supply of rock rows. A couple of other notes on Glade cards. There are multiple copies of each card, and you're never allowed to have more than 1 copy of the same card. Secondly, some of the cards will have little circular icons printed down the bottom. There are 6 different such icons, and some of the dwelling cards will trigger points based on matching those sets. The next action space is the Timeless Temple. The first die placed at the Timeless Temple in any given round may be any number, but all subsequent dice must be the same number as the first. As for the Cavern Tavern or the Construction Yard, there are only as many spaces open as there are players in the game, or 2 in the solo mode. To take this action, the player takes 1 offering token and then places it somewhere onto the temple. This can be in any row, but as you'll see, you'll always want to fill from left to right. Gain or lose reputation based on the space that's being covered. The further to the right you go in each row, the more reputation you'll lose. Then take the effect printed on the left-hand side of your row, paying the cost on the left and gaining the benefit on the right. On the bottom row, the player pays 3 coins to gain 3 rock rows. In the second row, the player pays 3 coins in order to get the right to immediately fulfill a Stone Council tile. The player must still pay the goods or coins on that tile, but does not need to meet the nobility requirements, does not have to have a settler card of the matching race, and does not lose reputation as they would at the normal Stone Council space. At Tier 3, the player pays 3 gold and any 3 goods to gain 1 worker. At Tier 4, the player pays any 3 goods to gain 1 house. At Tier 5, the player pays any 3 goods to build a workshop. The workshop must come from the display of workshops available at the guild hall, and, as usual, the player must already have an apprentice at the matching guild. But the player does not have to pay the coins or place a die in the guild hall in order to take this action. Finally, at the top space of the board, the player may pay 4 coins and 3 goods to immediately gain 8 victory points. Only 1 player may take this particular effect, and note that it will cost you 3 reputation. The Timeless Temple also provides an income in rock rows, and during the income phase of each round, each player will gain 1 rock rose for each offering token on the temple. So, to revise, we've now seen the 4 new ways of gaining income in this expansion. There's 1 rock rose for each 3 leftover pips on dice, 1 rock rose per offering disc at the temple, 2 rock rose for each activated dwelling, and 2 coins for each activated elder. As a new part of upkeep, sweep out all 6 cards from the Guardian's Glade and replace them. 2 other adjustments to the rules of the game. Firstly, at Burke the Clerk's office, in the base game this icon told you that you could sweep out either all the cards in the Cavern Tavern or all the buildings in the Guild Hall and replace them. Now you can also sweep out and replace the cards in the Guardian's Glade, and this icon allows you to sweep out any 2 of those 3 locations. Secondly, there is a new type of settler card indicated by the number 3 on the back. These show this icon, wild equals rock rose, and a points range between 3 and 10. To complete one of these settler cards, you may exchange any types of goods as long as they are between 3 and 10. You can spend them in any combination, including more than 3 of one goods type. However, you must also spend the same number of rock rose as you spend goods. Then gain 1 point per goods spent, and gain the benefits shown in the top right corner as usual. Included among the benefits is this +3 reputation. At the end of the game, in addition to the normal scoring from the base game, you'll do the following scoring. Each player gains points based on the bonuses shown on any dwelling cards that they've activated with a house. Unactivated dwellings score nothing. Then, players score points based on the majority holder at the temple. First, total up the number of offering tokens that have been placed on the temple. Here it's 9. The player with the most offering tokens on the temple gets that many victory points. The player with the second most gets half that many victory points rounded up. So in this case, 5 points. Then the player with the third most offering tokens gains half of that value rounded up. So here, 3 points. Only the top 3 gain victory points, and ties are friendly. So in the case of a tie, both players will get the higher value of points. Leftover rock rose is worth nothing, so be sure to convert it into something which is worth points before the end of your final turn. The In the Pale Moonlight side of the board offers one more rule change for this expansion. During the income phase of each round, all players total up the number of these different icons that they have on their Glade cards. So here the red player has 2 blue and 1 green. The player with the majority in each colour gains the title token for that colour. If there is a tie, then the player who already has the title token retains it. If no player has gained it yet, or there is a tie among players who don't own this token, then it's returned to the main supply. After allocating title tokens, each player gains 1 point for each title token owned. In this way, gaining and holding a title token throughout the game will be worth 7 points. And that's how to play Rise to Nobility Beyond. We hope you enjoyed this video and we hope you enjoy playing.
If you enjoyed this video, please help us by hitting the like button, subscribe to us, and you can also hit the meeple in the corner to do so, and hit the bell icon so you'll be one of the first to know when we have new videos. You can also follow me on Instagram for board games photos and reviews.
And finally, if you have any questions, comments or feedback, please feel free to write them in the comments section below.
Until next time!